Hello and welcome to another episode of The Climb, the Confident Leader podcast. And today we have another amazing guest coming from a different part of the world. This guest is a British Asian spiritual leader known for her straight talking approach, making complex spiritual and energy concept easy to grasp through relatable stories. She is a former high flyer in the corporate world. She left a six-figure career to follow her spiritual calling and now empowers others to reconnect with their intuition, not just spiritually, but as a practical tool for navigating life. Her work is rooted in the belief that the most profound journey is the one that leads you back to yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our guest on the show, Ambila Nath. Ambila, welcome to our show. How are you doing today?
Rahul, thank you so much for the introduction. I'm doing wonderfully. Thank you for having me.
Well, while I was going through your bio, I realized there's so many things that you have gone through and how you have come up with this newer career of yourself. But before we dive into that, Ambila, give us a gist of your corporate journey to our audience.
So my journey in life was very similar to everybody else's. You went to education, then you graduated, and then you went into the corporate world. And I was in the corporate world for 10 years. I absolutely loved it. And I was in IT. But I was also in leadership and people skills because even though I have an IT degree, one thing I realized once I graduated was that I could not do IT to the level I studied because I'm a people person. So when I went to the corporate world, it was very much customer facing, it was very much people orientated. And in my first corporate job, by the age of 25, I was leading a whole sector and department of about 30 to 40 people.
Wow.
And that in itself brought its own leadership problems because you're young and you're managing, the older generations. And we're talking the mid 90s. So we're not even talking about now where the era and, people mindset and everything is just so much more different. We're
Mm.
talking back in, that time. From my first corporate job, which was working in a telecoms company, I then went and became a management consultant, and that was a very male dominated place to be. But yeah, I was a go-getter female, being in my true energy and not feeling I needed it to be a masculine energy to compete with the men. But
Mhm.
that in itself, yeah, brought I was going to say wonderful challenges because I've got a
Mhm.
smile on my face. So I think, yeah, I handled it well.
Okay,
But
good.
yes, it was during that journey that, led me to where I am today.
Nice. So, what were some of those shifts, mindset shift that happened to you because of which you moved from where you were and where you are today? Can you enlighten us?
Yes, I think the mind shift was already there at the age of 19 because at that age I knew that I wanted to have my own business. I never knew what it was going to be, but I also knew, and again at that early age, I didn't know it was my intuition, I just knew
Mm-hmm.
that the timing wasn't right. So I went through the corporate route and I loved every minute of it. I wouldn't change it. But the mindset that changed it was more to do with the challenges and things that you face as you're going along, the journey. And it was very much that you became a number. You were just expected to, do things. You were replaceable, if they wanted to change the structure.
Mm-hmm.
So it was all of those kinds of things that started kind of giving me those alarm bells, and ultimately my health as well, that started kind of going, I need to be looking after number one because that's what companies are doing. They're looking after themselves and their
Mm-hmm.
structure, and their profits and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to kind of look at myself. From the age of 19, I had UK wide, because I think in the US the mindset and coaching and all of that was huge. In the UK, not so much. But from the age of 19, I actually did start to read a lot of the mindset books. So a lot of my teachings and everything was starting from that early age and cultivating. So when I came across any of those challenges, I had my routing, my tools to go back to, and to be able to navigate a lot of the personal as well as professional challenges I went through.
Wow. So, one of the learning that I have from what you just mentioned, Ambila, is take care of yourself. The companies, the corporation are also taking care of themselves rather than taking care of the employees. So, as an employee, have that discipline that you don't just go all out, just take care of yourself as well. And I'm not saying here that be lazy, and I'm saying whatever I just said, but as a corporate employee, I was also all giving all in. I have done that all my life. But yes, there has to be a balance. So, thank you for sharing, Ambila. Take care of yourself. Now, when I was doing my research, I learned that a title that was coming for you was a manifestation coach.
Mm.
So, share with us in your corporate journey to being a manifestation coach. What was those moments when you said that you realized intuition was your superpower? I know you mentioned that from the age of 19, you
Yeah.
knew that you want to do business, but when did you actually realize that intuition was your superpower?
It was a lot later in my corporate career. And I was, as I said, going through a lot of challenges where I was realizing I was just a number. Because in management consulting back then, I'm sure it probably hasn't changed much. It was very much you received a phone call, you packed your bags, you went to wherever you were expected to be. And at the beginning, it was lovely. I enjoyed it, but towards the end of it, I started falling ill for me, which is very unusual, but it was just like every time I'd recover from a cold, I'd get another cold. It was a chest infection, it was this, it was that. And I was constantly in a doctor's surgery, which for me is very rare. But it was kind of like I'd got my own membership going. That's when I started to realize something needed to change.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when all of the nudges that I had been feeling, with my intuition, where it had been a lot earlier on, maybe even a year before, guiding me that, to let go, to let go, to let go. And I was holding on to security, I was holding on to what was comfortable, what I knew. And I'm a strong believer, and I share this a lot with my followers as well as my clients, is that the universe gives us raindrops.
Mm-hmm.
Those are little signals. When we're not listening to those raindrops, the rain starts to get heavier and heavier to the point that it'll give you a tsunami. And for me, that was my tsunami. That was my cannot miss the message, the nudge, whatever you want to call it, to take action, because the alternative was that I was going to end up in hospital. So I listened to that major nudge to
Mm-hmm.
make that change happen. But in doing so, I think, realized what intuition was, because as I mentioned, all throughout my logical life, I had a knowing, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a name to it. And that it was at that kind of turning point or transition point that I started to realize what intuition was.
Mm. Wow, very well said, and probably this will remain for me for a long time. Universe gives you signal in the form of raindrop, not the literal raindrop, but yes, they will give you signal. Universe will give you a signal. So, team, do not wait for that raindrop to become a tsunami. Take action. Get help so that you can get better. Thank you. A very powerful story, Ambula, how your intuition became your superpower. Now, you coming from a management consulting background, so it would be good for us to take your inputs on the framework that we have created here, the client framework, Ambila, where we see that each and every corporate professional goes through different stages when it comes to leadership. Initial, they are invisible, then they become potential, become achiever, have those burnouts, and then again moving to influencer. And in all these stages, there are ways people can come out, what they can do. So the word climb uh, is an acronym, stands for C, cultivate your mindset. L is leverage your strength. I, integrate your vision. M is magnify your impact. And B, build your legacy. From your experience, how these stages are resonated? Have you seen these stages when you were growing? Have you seen these stages in other leaders that you have seen growing?
I think what you've said, and certainly what you've encompassed, exists. Everybody will go through. Maybe not in that particular sequence, maybe not
Mm-hmm.
as, all of it all at once. But yes, people will definitely be going through that because I think it just in leadership, but also in your own personal growth,
Mm-hmm.
you need to have those shifts happening. You need to understand yourself more. You need to understand and take responsibility for your own actions and your own mindset, which is the huge part of manifesting. And the more you begin to understand yourself, I grew up with the mindset and mentality that everything that was happening in my life was somebody else's fault and problem and responsibility. It's only when I started taking ownership and realizing it's all within me,
Mm-hmm.
that's when the shift started to happen. And whether you're in leadership or whether you are, on your personal level, when you get that magic formula, that's when life begins to change. And that's what manifestation is all about. It's the energy that you're living in and, embodying in yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think taking action or taking ownership of your action was another golden nugget that was dropped by Ambila in this response. So thank you. Now, when I wrote my first book, or currently second, Habits for Miracles, a lot of people were talking to me, what do you mean by miracle? I mean, and a lot of people said that we don't believe in miracle. And there is something similar with the manifestation as well. So the listeners who are aspiring leaders who are listening to this podcast, Ambila, who feel stuck or feel invisible in their careers, what would be your advice as a manifestation coach uh, to shift their mindset that they can change their own path, they can change the trajectory of their own path?
Well, the key nugget kind of came in the question, that the answer that I gave previously, which is about energy.
Mm,
So we are invisible because that's what we believe and see
mm,
in ourselves. So in order for somebody to not be invisible is about stepping into their own energy. And there's a lot of, fake it till you make it kind of,
mm,
innuendos that go on, and I'm not a believer in that. But I am a believer, and this is how I got to where I am today because I owned the energy. I
mm,
worked in IT, male orientated as hell, very limited female people there. But because I was me, not them, not competing with them, but I was just focusing on me, my career, what I wanted, that's what made me not be invisible.
mm.
So it's very much about stepping into your own energy, your
Energy.
own power,
Oh, wow.
regardless of whether you don't want to be climbing the career ladder or whether you're just happy doing what you're doing. But when you're in that energy, then people see you.
Mm,
When you choose to wait for people to give you validation, constantly wait for somebody else to give you credit for, feeling worthy, that's when you become invisible.
mm.
So it's very much about be who you are and really show up with
Mm.
regards to what it is that you're wanting to do.
Wow. I think another good point to bring in is owning the energy. So create the energy for yourself, be it negative or positive. If you, it's you who do that and step into that energy, that really makes a difference. Thank you, Amila, again for sharing that insight. Now, I know you have worked and you, when you work with your clients, you share with them a lot of basic practical tools because manifestation and these energy, there are certain people who do not believe in that, and it's okay, that's how they look at things. But for our listeners, how they can translate their everyday leadership practices to become a better leader? What are some of the tools that you would advise or you suggest to your existing client that could be helpful for our listeners?
Well, firstly, I want to talk about the misconception regarding manifestation because everybody thinks it's all this woo woo and, that kind of stuff that they can't relate to. Manifestation is very much about mindset. It goes in harmony with logic and spirituality. You need to also be working on the logical parts, which is your mindset, which is taking responsibility for your actions, which is taking aligned action,
Mm-hmm.
for what you want to be doing in your life, which is setting intentional goals, not just goals, but intentional goals, so that and that's what leaders do all the time,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't need to put the woo-woo, label against it. And that's basically what I would say regarding, I'm not here, and I say this all the time, I am not here to convert you. I don't care if you believe in energy, don't believe in energy. But what I am here to do is educate you in what you are already doing and using.
Mm-hmm.
That is part of manifestation, that is part of energy, but you don't need to label it in that way. As long as it works for you,
Mm-hmm.
that's the important part. So, with regards to what I would say to people, is definitely the fundamental part is your mindset. Work on that, really understand how you are, what you're thinking on a daily basis, how your thoughts are impacting you,
Mm-hmm.
how they are presenting you to the world, or or your working life or business life.
Mm-hmm.
And that I would probably say is quite a big chunk
Yeah.
and a lot of work for people to do, a nugget to take away.
Correct, correct, absolutely. And on the same note, just wanted to share a lot of clients who come to me, individual clients, they talk about negativity around them. They talk about they are not able to take action. And we talk about how you can move from that stage to a positive stage. But from your perspective, if someone is coming to you saying that I have the negative energy, I have this, nothing is moving for me, what would be one or two tips that you will give to them to convert that negative energy into positive?
Well, there's really simple, practical things. The first thing I would basically say to somebody is put on the most positive music you can think of and
Mm-hmm.
dance. Changing energy and changing mindset is very much about shifting your body. So that's the first thing. Even Tony Robbins, talks about it. The fastest way to change energy is changing your physical, form. So get up, dancing, moving, running, exercising, whatever it will be, because what that's doing is disrupting the moment
Mm-hmm.
and putting you in a different frequency. So that's one of the things that I would say. The other thing regarding somebody saying, oh, I'm in this, kind of low energy and things like that, is looking at their current routine, looking
Mm-hmm.
at what are you doing on a daily basis to prep yourself up, because everything starts from our morning and then it kind of, filters. So if your morning routine is something that is helping you and serving you and giving you that positivity to start with, then you're in a stronger mindset to deal with any challenges or obstacles
Mm-hmm.
that come during the day. So I always start while I'm getting ready, showering, whatever it may be, positive podcasts,
Mm-hmm.
taking in positive information, whether that's an audio book, whether that's actually listening to, your podcast, The Climb, whatever it may be, you're taking that inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, a wonderful setup. So
Wow.
those are the, primary things I would say to people.
Absolutely. I think our listeners would be very, very pleased to hear that these are very, very simple things to move from the negative mindset to positive. And what you mentioned was, just pick up your favorite music, favorite song, just get up and dance. And the critical aspect from me in her response is to review your morning routine, because how you start your day will trickle down to how you will end your day. So review your morning routine. If that is working out great for you, amazing. If not, then you need to relook at that. So thank you again. And before we move to our rapid fire round, Ambila, I would want our audience to know how they can find you, how they can connect with you, and what are the things that you do for them that will be magnificent.
Um, I'm really easy to connect with
Mhm.
because everything around for me is under my name. So just Google Ambila Nath and you will find my website. You will find me on Instagram. You will also find my YouTube channel. You will find me on LinkedIn, but predominantly I'm on Instagram and YouTube.
Mhm.
Um, in terms of the things that we're doing, is that we have workshops, we have courses, we have services like tarot readings, energy healing on the spiritual levels. We have practical online courses, and we also have a shop which can help people with crystals and healing and manifesting and anything else that they may need, because not everybody is ready, and sometimes the journey can start with something smaller. So our ethos is, to meet you at the level that you're at and hopefully keep on helping you with your journey.
Very good. And do you work with corporate clients or individuals as well, Amila?
I work with individuals. I don't put a label because when a person comes to us, it's not about the title that they're carrying, it's about the challenges they're facing.
Mhm.
So for us, it's, yeah, everyone. But yes, we do definitely do have corporate clients as well.
Okay, awesome, great. So team, check her out. Her website will be on the show note. Review what are services they provide and how they can benefit you. It's always good to have a start somewhere if you have never explored this route. And if things are not working out and you have not explored your energy or manifestation, worth spending a time with Ambila and her team. So thank you. Now it's
Thank
a
you.
fun rapid fire round, Ambila, where we will be asking 5 questions. We would want you to answer instantly. Do not spend too much time in thinking about it. Okay?
Right up my alley with the intuition.
Yeah, absolutely. Intuition.
Yeah.
The first question coming your way is your favorite quotation that you live by.
It's an Oprah Winfrey one. What's the right next step?
Right next step.
Hmm.
Oh.
Because you're working on a moment by moment rather
Mhm.
than getting to the destination. So yeah, so when you focus on your next right step, then yeah, that makes everything more bearable.
Okay. Since you are coming from a Asian background, coffee or chai before any high stakes meeting?
100% is always tea.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
I'm a night owl. That's when my creativity kicks in after about 10 o'clock. And
Okay.
then, yeah, I get the bulk of my work done.
What's one leadership skill you wish someone would have taught you earlier?
Good question. Um, I think it would be to not take things personally, because
Mm,
when you're starting out and you get some kind of feedback or criticism, it's not to take it like it's personal, but take it as constructive criticism and look at what value, if any, a person is sharing with you, and also to take what is positive
hmm.
and not form it as your identity. So if it doesn't, work and you know in yourself that's not you, then just dismiss it.
Correct, correct. So avoid taking things personally. Thank you. Great advice. What's one daily ritual you never skip, no matter how hectic the day is?
It's listening to the positive podcasts,
Wow, thank you.
listening to that
That's amazing
positivity.
thing. And finally, if your career were a Netflix series, Umbrella, what would be the title of season one be?
Rebel with a third eye.
Sorry, come again?
Rebel with a third eye.
Rebel with a third eye. Wow. That's an interesting one. Very unique. I'm sure that would really bring some buzz in the blockbuster office. All right, so that's where we come to end of our show. Before we end, as a ritual, I will share my learnings from the show. Amazing. There has been lots and lots of learning, but in the essence of time, I will share top three. The first one is taking care of yourself. No one else will take care of you when you are in a not so good shape. So take care of yourself. The second one was the universe will give you clues in a raindrop. So universe will give you clues like a raindrop. Do not wait to become a tsunami. Take care of it. Take action. From a last would be from the energy perspective. We need to own our energy. Do not depend on anyone else to change the energy. And if you are constantly having a negative energy, negative aura around you, just have some good music, dance, listen to good podcast, and more importantly, look at your morning routine because that might have the root cause of the negativity around you. With that said, Amila, it was been a pleasure speaking with you, knowing about your career, knowing about how you did all the pivotal shift. And I'm sure your clients and the working professional would be very, very pleased to know the side of you because you have been there and what you are doing is definitely very, very helpful. Before I let you go, any final word of wisdom for our aspiring leaders, young leaders?
I would basically say trust yourself more than you trust others. Trust, because that's what I did. You're going to have so many people who will divert you and divert your vision and where you want to be and what you want to do. But trust your own dream and what you believe. And with that, I don't think you can go wrong.
Oh, wow. So have trust and believe in yourself, team. Please let us know what was the biggest learning for you from this episode in the show comments. And keep listening, keep watching the Climb Confidently podcast. Thank you once again. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you, Amila.
Thank you.